Growing up, it always felt like there was only one spotlight in our house, and it was permanently fixed on my older brother, Ryan. From the time we were kids, Ryan was the achiever, the favorite, the one everyone praised. He was the all-star athlete, honor roll student, student council president, prom king, you name it, he did it. Our parents would beam with pride every time his name was mentioned, their eyes lighting up like he was some sort of golden trophy they won. And me? I was just there. I was the other one, the spare. At family gatherings, relatives would ask, "So, what's Ryan doing next?" before even glancing at me. If I got a B+ on a test, it was met with a half-hearted, "That's nice, honey." If Ryan got the same grade, there was a celebration with cake and confetti. I learned early on that my accomplishments would always come second, if they were even noticed at all. It wasn't that I didn't try. I studied hard, I worked quietly, I stayed out of trouble. I was the type of kid who helped teachers after class, edited the school paper, and volunteered at the local library. But none of that mattered at home. Not really. My parents, especially my dad, believed Ryan was destined for greatness. He was going to go to an Ivy League school, become a lawyer or a doctor, and make the family proud. My mom used to say it like it was prophecy. "Ryan's going to change the world. You'll see." As if the rest of us were just lucky to be in his orbit. I tried to act like it didn't bother me. I smiled through the comparisons, shrugged off the backhanded compliments, and kept my head down. But the truth? It hurt. It hurt to feel invisible in your own home. It hurt to watch your parents love someone a little more, just because they shined a little brighter in their eyes. When college applications rolled around, I kept my goals to myself. I had my heart set on Emerson College. It wasn't Ivy League, but it was perfect for me. I wanted to study journalism. Writing was the one thing that made me feel seen, like I had a voice. I didn't think anyone in my family would care, so I didn't talk about it much. Ryan, on the other hand, had his sights set on Harvard. Of course he did. Our parents were practically foaming at the mouth at the idea of him going there. They bought him prep books, hired tutors, and even went on a campus visit with him. Every dinner conversation turned into Harvard this and Harvard that. Still, I applied to Emerson quietly, pouring everything I had into my application. My personal essay was raw, vulnerable, probably the most honest thing I'd ever written. I talked about growing up in Ryan's shadow, about struggling to find my own identity, and how writing gave me a sense of purpose. I didn't think anyone would ever read it besides the admissions committee, and somehow, that made it easier to tell the truth. Weeks passed. Then months. Ryan was rejected from Harvard. I still remember the day it happened. He walked into the house, silent, pale, the email still glowing on his phone screen. Our parents were devastated, like someone had died. My mom cried. My dad said things like, "There must have been a mistake, and they probably filled their quota already." No one dared to suggest that maybe Ryan just didn't make the cut. That night, I didn't say much. I knew better. Ryan sat in his room, sulking, while our parents tiptoed around like they were in mourning. I went to my room, closed the door, and opened my own email. I had gotten into Emerson. Not just accepted, they offered me a scholarship. I sat there staring at the screen, tears welling in my eyes. For the first time in what felt like forever, I had done something that mattered. I wanted to scream, to dance, to tell the whole world. But I didn't. Because I knew what would happen if I told them, right then, in that moment. My parents wouldn't congratulate me. They wouldn't celebrate. They'd see it as a reminder that Ryan failed, and that I didn't. So I kept it to myself. At least for a little while. Eventually, I told my best friend, Hannah. She was overjoyed. We stayed up late that night making plans for college visits and dreaming about dorm rooms and late-night coffee runs. For once, I felt like I wasn't just Ryan's little sister. I was me. But my secret didn't stay secret for long. One afternoon, about a week later, Ryan found the acceptance letter on my desk. I'd left it out by accident while cleaning my backpack. I walked into my room and there he was holding it, his eyes scanning the page. When he looked up at me, there was something dark in his expression, something I'd never seen before. "You got in?" he asked, his voice flat. "Yeah," I said cautiously. "With a scholarship." He nodded slowly. "Wow. I thought maybe he'd be happy for me. Or at least fake it." But instead, he walked out without saying another word. After that, things got weird. Dense. He stopped talking to me. He barely looked at me during meals. If I walked into a room, he left. Our parents didn't seem to notice, still too busy worrying about his next move. But I noticed. And I couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing. I didn't know then just how far he'd go. That my own brother, the one I grew up idolizing, was about to turn my biggest accomplishment into my worst nightmare. And that everything I had worked so hard for was about to be ripped away by the one person I thought I could trust. At first, I thought maybe I was just imagining it. The cold shoulder. The silent treatment. The weird glances from Ryan across the dinner table. I told myself it was just jealousy, that he'd get over it eventually. I mean, yeah, he didn't get into Harvard, and I got into my dream school. But we were siblings. We were supposed to be there for each other, right? But Ryan didn't get over it. He got bitter. And then things started going missing. It was little stuff at first. My USB drive with my scholarship essays. A few graded papers I needed for financial aid appeals. Password reset emails that I hadn't requested. I brushed it off as carelessness until one day, I tried logging into my Emerson student portal and I was locked out. I panicked. I called the school. They said they'd received a request to delete my account due to a duplicate enrollment issue. What? That made no sense. Then came the email from Emerson saying my admission status was under review due to concerns raised about application authenticity. I felt like the floor had just disappeared under my feet. I immediately called the admissions office, heart pounding, voice shaking. They wouldn't give details over the phone, but said they had received an anonymous tip claiming I had plagiarized my personal statement, that I had used content from another applicant's essay, that I may have falsified parts of my application. I couldn't breathe. I raced home, grabbed my laptop, pulled up my original essay, the one I'd poured my soul into, and then my stomach dropped. It was gone. The file was corrupted, unreadable. I tried to explain this to my parents, thinking maybe, just maybe, they'd believe me, help me figure it out. But when I told them what Emerson had said, they looked at me like I was a stranger. "Why would someone say that about you?" my mom asked, crossing her arms. "Are you sure you didn't exaggerate something?" "I didn't," I said. "I wrote every word of that myself." Dad just shook his head. "They don't review things like that unless they have a reason." A reason? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They were doubting me, not even giving me the benefit of the doubt. And worst of all, Ryan just stood there, silent, sipping his soda in the corner, like none of it had anything to do with him. I started to put the pieces together. The missing files, the login issues, the conveniently anonymous tip, the corrupted essay. And then I remembered, Ryan had seen the acceptance letter. He knew about my application. He'd even touched my laptop. The next day, when I checked my email again, there was a forwarded message. An anonymous account had sent Emerson a Google Doc with my name on it. And a plagiarized essay. Word for word, pulled from an old online forum I'd used years ago for writing prompts. It wasn't mine. I'd never submitted it. But somehow, someone had linked that file to my email address. I was being framed. And in my gut, I knew who had done it. I confronted Ryan in the hallway that night, after our parents had gone to bed. My voice trembled as I held up my phone. "You sent this," I said. "Didn't you?" He didn't deny it. He just looked at me, stone cold, and said, "Maybe you shouldn't have left it out for anyone to find." I felt my heart shatter into pieces. You sabotaged me? I whispered. Why? Because you don't deserve it, he snapped. You're not better than me. You're not anything. You think because you wrote one sob story essay and got lucky, that suddenly you're someone? That you matter? I worked for that, I cried. I earned it. No, he said. You just got lucky. And I'm not letting some charity case school take you in while I get left behind. I'm the one who was supposed to make it. Me. He turned and walked away like it was nothing. Like destroying my future was just some casual Tuesday night activity. I didn't sleep at all. I spent the entire night digging through my old files, screenshots, anything I could find to prove my innocence. I found a saved draft of my original essay buried deep in a backup folder, still dated, still time-stamped. I printed it. I compiled emails from my English teacher who had helped me proofread. I wrote a full appeal to Emerson, attaching everything I could. I was terrified it wouldn't be enough. My parents didn't help. In fact, they barely talked to me that week. I heard them whispering behind closed doors, asking themselves if they had done something wrong with me. My mom even suggested maybe I should take a gap year to reflect. Reflect on what? Being betrayed? The only person who believed me was Hannah. She stayed up with me on Zoom, going through every message, every file, helping me build my case. You can't let him win, she said. You deserve this. You always have. I submitted the appeal. Then I waited. Every day felt like I was holding my breath underwater. Ryan, meanwhile, acted like everything was normal. He laughed with my parents, took over the TV, played Xbox in the living room like he hadn't just torched my life. He even applied to Emerson a week after all this, like he was trying to replace me. When I told my parents, they just said, well, maybe he's reconsidering his options. It's good that he's staying motivated. I wanted to scream. I wasn't just losing my future, I was losing my mind. And then, the email came. The email from Emerson popped into my inbox on a Thursday afternoon. My hands were trembling so badly, I could barely click it open. I braced myself for the worst. I had imagined every possible outcome: suspension, blacklisting, maybe even a permanent mark on my academic record. What I wasn't prepared for was hope. After further review of your appeal and additional documentation, we have found no conclusive evidence of plagiarism or misconduct in your application. Your admission and scholarship status have been fully reinstated. Welcome to Emerson College. We look forward to seeing you this fall. I burst into tears right there at the kitchen table. Hannah was the first person I called. She screamed so loud I had to take the phone away from my ear. I told you, she said, laughing and crying at the same time. You did it. You cleared your name. But the happiness I felt was tangled with something else: rage. Because Ryan had tried to steal this from me. And he almost succeeded. I walked upstairs and found him in his room, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. I held up my phone. They reinstated me, I said. I'm in. He glanced at me, then turned back to his screen. Good for you. That's it. No apology. No shame. No guilt. Just smug indifference. I realized something right then. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong. He truly believed that his failure justified everything he'd done to me. He thought I was just a placeholder in life, someone who wasn't supposed to win. I could have let it go. I could have walked away and started fresh at Emerson. But I knew Ryan wasn't done. He'd already applied to the same school. He was trying to follow me there. And if I didn't stop him now, he'd find new ways to poison everything I touched. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I told the truth. To everyone. I started with my parents. I sat them down, handed them a folder I had put together: emails, files, screenshots, statements from Hannah, even a note from my English teacher verifying the originality of my essay. Then I looked my mom and dad in the eye and said, Ryan framed me. At first, they didn't believe it. My dad stood up pacing. My mom looked like she was about to cry. They kept repeating, he wouldn't do that. He's your brother. But I didn't back down. I explained everything, from the deleted files to the corrupted essay to the anonymous tip. I even showed them Ryan's fingerprints on the doc metadata. He had literally renamed the fake file using my student ID. I know you've always seen him as the golden child, I said, but he tried to ruin my life. And if I hadn't fought for myself, you would have let him. Silence. And then the front door opened. Ryan walked in, earbuds in, tossing his keys on the counter like it was any other day. My dad turned to him. We need to talk. For the first time ever. Ryan looked nervous. They grilled him for over an hour. At first, he denied everything. Said I was being dramatic. But I had too much evidence. Too many receipts. Eventually, he cracked. I didn't think she'd actually get in, he muttered. She's always just been in the background. I didn't think it'd matter. My mom gasped. My dad's face turned red. You sabotaged your own sister? My mom whispered, like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Why would you do that? Because no one ever looks at me when she's around anymore. He exploded. You all just expect me to be perfect. And the minute I fall, you're ready to replace me with her. I laughed bitterly. Are you serious? You've always been the favorite. I was invisible until the moment I did something you couldn't. That was when my dad said the thing that broke me. I guess we failed both of you. He turned and walked out. My mom started crying. Ryan went upstairs and slammed his door. And me? I just sat there, numb, exhausted. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I told the truth. To everyone. I started with my parents. I sat them down, handed them a folder I had put together, emails, files, screenshots, statements from Hannah, even a note from my English teacher verifying the originality of my essay. Then I looked my mom and dad in the eye and said, Ryan framed me. At first, they didn't believe it. My dad stood up, pacing. My mom looked like she was about to cry. They kept repeating, he wouldn't do that. He's your brother. But I didn't back down. I explained everything, from the deleted files to the corrupted essay to the anonymous tip. I even showed them Ryan's fingerprints on the doc metadata. He had literally renamed the fake file using my student ID. I know you've always seen him as the golden child, I said. But he tried to ruin my life. And if I hadn't fought for myself, you would have let him. Silence. And then the front door opened. Ryan walked in, earbuds in, tossing his keys on the counter like it was any other day. My dad turned to him. We need to talk. For the first time ever. Ryan looked nervous. They grilled him for over an hour. At first, he denied everything. Said I was being dramatic. But I had too much evidence. Too many receipts. Eventually, he cracked. I didn't think she'd actually get in, he muttered. She's always just been in the background. I didn't think it'd matter. My mom gasped. My dad's face turned red. You sabotaged your own sister? My mom whispered like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Why would you do that? Because no one ever looks at me when she's around anymore. He exploded. You all just expect me to be perfect. And the minute I fall, you're ready to replace me with her. I laughed bitterly. Are you serious? You've always been the favorite. I was invisible until the moment I did something you couldn't. That was when my dad said the thing that broke me. I guess we failed both of you. He turned and walked out. My mom started crying. Brian went upstairs and slammed his door. And me? I just sat there. Numb. Exhausted. The next few days were a blur. Ryan stopped coming to family dinners. He deleted his Emerson application. Our parents didn't say much, just moved around the house like ghosts. I think they were ashamed, not just of him, but of themselves. Of the way they let favoritism blind them to what was right in front of them. One night, my mom knocked on my door. She sat down on the edge of my bed, her eyes tired and swollen. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't realize how much we were hurting you. I thought we were doing the right thing, pushing Ryan to succeed. I didn't see what it was doing to you. I just wanted to be seen, I whispered. That's all. She pulled me into a hug, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe she saw me for real. But even with that small sliver of healing, there was still damage that couldn't be undone. Ryan and I were no longer brothers. Not in the way that mattered. We had crossed a line that we couldn't uncross. And the worst part was, we were about to be stuck under the same roof for one more summer, waiting for a storm neither of us could stop. Summer in our house used to mean late-night movies, takeout Fridays, and the occasional road trip to the lake. But that year, the air was heavier than it had ever been. Every conversation tiptoed around the truth we couldn't forget. Every dinner was filled with awkward silences and the occasional forced smile. And every glance between Ryan and me carried the weight of betrayal that words couldn't erase. Ryan barely came out of his room. When he did, he said almost nothing. No apologies, no attempts to make things right. I didn't expect him to. I wasn't sure I even wanted him to. What do you say to someone who tried to destroy your future out of spite? But the silence didn't mean the storm was over. It was just waiting. My parents were different too. More careful. More neutral. Like they were trying not to show favoritism anymore, but didn't quite know how to repair what years of it had broken. My mom would ask how I was feeling, but never mentioned Emerson. My dad offered to help me buy books, but never brought up Ryan. It was like they were walking a tightrope, afraid of falling off on either side. And me? I was stuck in the middle, caught between the person I used to be, the spare, the overlooked sibling, and the person I was trying to become. Someone who fought for herself. Someone who earned her place in the world. But it's hard to celebrate your own success when it comes at the cost of your family falling apart. Then came July 4th. We always had a big barbecue. Family, neighbors, fireworks in the backyard. That year, my parents insisted on still doing it. Tradition, they said. They wanted to prove things were fine, that we hadn't become that family. The broken one. The day started off fake happy. Burgers on the grill. Kids playing tag. Old people asking me about college with two wide smiles. I smiled back, because that's what you do. You smile. You nod. You pretend. Then Ryan showed up. Late, of course. Wearing his college hoodie from the school he didn't get into, just to make a point. He acted like nothing had happened. Made jokes with the neighbors. Hugged our grandma. Even offered to light the fireworks. I avoided him. I tried to stay busy, helping Mom in the kitchen. But the moment I stepped outside again, I saw him talking to Mr. Green, the one neighbor who was a college advisor at the local high school. The guy who'd written Ryan a recommendation letter. And I heard Ryan say something I couldn't ignore. I mean, Emerson just rescinded her for academic dishonesty, so I'm not sure what she's gonna do now. My parents are trying to keep it quiet. I froze. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He was still lying. Still trying to destroy my reputation. In front of a neighbor. On the 4th of July. After everything. I walked straight up to them, heart pounding. That's not true, I said, loudly enough for others to hear. They reinstated me. I cleared my name. And Ryan knows that, because he's the one who sent the anonymous tip to get me expelled in the first place. Mr. Green looked shocked. Ryan's face went pale. What are you talking about? He said, trying to laugh it off. She's been acting paranoid all summer. No, I said. You framed me. And you admitted it. To Mom. To Dad. And now you're still out here lying like you're the victim? The crowd went quiet. A few people stopped eating. My mom came rushing over, her face panic-stricken. Can we talk inside? She whispered. No, I said. I'm done protecting him. Ryan stepped closer. You think this makes you better than me? You think airing our dirty laundry in front of everyone makes you some kind of hero? I think the truth matters, I said. And I'm not letting you rewrite mine. And then it happened. Ryan lost it. He screamed. I was supposed to be the one. I worked harder. I studied longer. I deserved it. I didn't back down. You may have studied harder, but you never saw me. I was always right behind you, picking up the pieces you left behind. You didn't lose to me. You lost to yourself. The silence that followed was deafening. My mom covered her mouth. My dad stood in the doorway, watching it all unfold. Mr. Green looked away, clearly uncomfortable. Guests began gathering their things. The party was over. But for the first time in a long time, I felt free. The next day, my mom sat down with me again. She looked tired, older than I remembered. I don't know what we did wrong, she said. You didn't do everything wrong, I told her. But you made Ryan believe he was the only one who mattered. And you made me feel like I didn't. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't fix everything. Ryan left a few weeks later to go stay with our aunt in Chicago. He said he needed space. Honestly, we all did. My parents didn't fight it. I think they knew things had gone too far to fix with a few family dinners. When I moved into my dorm at Emerson, I didn't feel guilt. I felt earned. I put up my posters. I unpacked my books. And I started living the life I fought to protect. Not because I was chosen. Not because I was a backup plan or the spare, but because I was enough. College was everything I dreamed of, and nothing like I'd expected. At Emerson, nobody knew me as Ryan's little sister. Nobody saw me as the spare or the afterthought. I was just Ava, and for the first time in my life, that felt like enough. I dove into my classes headfirst: creative writing, philosophy, film studies. I joined a student storytelling group, started writing personal essays and performing monologues. I told the story of what had happened with my brother, anonymously at first. But even with the names changed, people felt it. After every show, someone would come up to me and say, "That reminded me of my sister," or "I thought I was the only one who went through something like that." It turned out a lot of people had family scars. I wasn't alone. I called home once a week. My mom always picked up first. She told me about her gardening, her new book club, and how she'd started volunteering at the local library. Her voice was softer now, less tense, more present. I could tell she was trying. My dad wasn't always on the calls, but when he was, he mostly listened. He didn't say much, but when he did, it landed heavy. He once said, "I'm proud of you, Ava," and I almost cried on the spot because it was the first time he'd ever said it without comparing me to Ryan. Ryan didn't call. At first, I was okay with that. I needed the space. I needed to remember who I was outside of our rivalry, our history, our shared trauma. But then, one afternoon in October, I got a message. From Ryan. I know I don't deserve a response, but I wanted to tell you that I've been in therapy. I'm trying to understand why I did what I did. You didn't deserve any of it. I'm sorry. For everything. I stared at the screen for a long time. A part of me wanted to delete it. Another part wanted to reply with everything I was still angry about. But mostly, I just sat there, stunned. Not because he apologized, but because for once, it sounded real. That night, I called my mom. Told her about the message. She was quiet for a long time. "He's been trying," she said softly. "It's been hard. But he's doing the work." I didn't reply. I wasn't ready to forgive him, not fully. But I wasn't ready to hate him either. Instead of replying, I wrote him a letter. I didn't send it. I just wrote it for me. "Dear Ryan, you broke something in me. Something I don't know if I'll ever fully get back. But I'm still here. I'm still standing. And I'm doing better than I ever thought I could. Not because you failed, but because I finally stopped waiting for you, or anyone, to believe in me. I stopped being the spare the moment I chose myself." Months passed. I grew into my new life. I got a campus job in the media lab, started filming small documentaries with other students. I learned to tell stories that mattered, Not just the ones that were dramatic or painful, but the ones that showed people surviving, thriving. One night, while editing a piece about family dynamics, my professor pulled me aside. "You have a voice," she said. "Don't let anyone silence it again." I walked back to my dorm with tears in my eyes. Because I had spent so many years quiet. So many years watching someone else take the spotlight and wondering if I'd ever get my turn. And now, here I was. The day before Thanksgiving break, my parents came to visit campus. They brought a box of my childhood things, old journals, baby pictures, a trophy from my third grade spelling bee. We had lunch at a cafe near the quad, and my dad asked if he could take a picture with me next to the Emerson statue. As he wrapped his arm around my shoulder, he said, "We got it wrong for a long time. But I see you now." I smiled. That night, after they left, I opened one of the journals they brought. It was from 8th grade. On the inside cover, in crooked handwriting, I had written, "One day, they'll all see me. I'll matter." I closed the journal and stared out my dorm window at the city lights. They had seen me. And more importantly, I had seen myself. 6 months later, Ryan emailed me again. Subject: Update. Hey, Ava. I wanted you to know I got into a counseling program in Chicago. I've been interning at a youth center and working with kids who struggle with identity and pressure from family. I tell them they're more than their parents' expectations. I tell them what I wish someone had told me. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm trying to become someone who would. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. Ryan. I still didn't know what to say. But I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't feel small. Instead, I smiled a little. Because for the first time in a long time, I believed he was trying. And maybe one day, I'd write him back. Not because I owed him anything, but because healing doesn't always look like reconciliation. Sometimes it just means choosing peace over pain. I wasn't the spare. I was the survivor. And this time, my story would be mine alone.